Hey guys, Ron here, and after years of studying Pokemon designs and making my own Fakemon, I've noticed various patterns in the way that Game Freak utilizes color in their designs. Of course, we all know that fire types are reddish, water types are blue, electric types are yellow, etc. But obviously that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about entire groups of Pokemon that share a similar hue or entire color schemes, no matter their type, because Game Freak wants you to understand something specific about a Pokemon's lore or even their origin. Whismur is a pale purple to indicate that it lives its life away from the sun, just like many other pale purple Pokemon. And many golden Pokemon have mystical powers even if they're not psychic type, like Psyduck and Ninetales. This is Color Theory 101, but obviously it's not as straightforward as you think. In this video, I'm going to show you these hidden powers by going through a bunch of different color categories. But let's begin with the best color of them all, green. Green is obviously associated with the grass type, so my following point isn't the fact that green means plant. So when non-grass types are green, what does that often indicate? Well, you can infer that it means nature, but from that you can expand it to, well, the concept of the earth itself, and by extension, neutrality. Green is in the middle of the vast color spectrum. It represents balance and lack of extremes. It can be warm or cool, but it can never be fully hot or cold, or else, it wouldn't be green anymore. So the following green Pokemon represent that neutrality by sitting between both binaries. Rayquaza is the guardian of the ozone. It stops conflict between Kyogre and Groudon while living outside of their domains. It restores balance when things are out of whack, like Zygarde, which maintains order in the ecosystem, representing both balance and nature without being grass type, but even non-legendaries can represent a balance between legendary extremes. Cyclizar exists between both box legendaries, who represent the extremes of the light spectrum with Scarlet and Violet, while embodying neither the past nor the future. It is a very tame and domesticated Pokemon compared to its more aggressive ancestor and descendant. Kecleon can become any type, so what color does Game Freak use to represent this baseline normal type with lots of color changing potential? Green. It stays invisible and aligns with no ideology, very neutral. Marshadow is similar. It hides in the shadows existing outside of human society while still mimicking it with its shadow boxing. It represents darkness as a ghost, but also light as a fighting type with the discipline to learn. Like Rayquaza, it exists outside of the spectrum, considering it is a shadow. Meloetta brings peace and harmony with its music. Sure, in its pirouette form it takes action as a fighting type, but in its green aria form, it represents emotion instead, making others feel happy or sad with its songs, potentially ending conflicts if it wanted to, but you can also see it as having the ability to make people feel a plethora of extreme emotions, just like how green is versatile and can be both warm and cool. Balance doesn't always mean neutrality after all, it can mean a combination of both extremes. Calyrex is a grass type, sure, but the royal green it showcases exemplifies the duality of its powers. It is a ruthless defender, but also a benevolent king. It will dominate in battle, but heal its opponents when it is finished demolishing them. It uses its intellect and wisdom to protect and attack. Flygon is similar. It is a powerful force that protects the desert and hides in sandstorms, but will help travelers. It is misunderstood and benevolent, but extremely dangerous and mysterious. However, green is also nature, and as a ground type, the color of the earth can also be considered green. In fact, that correlates with the next color group, turquoise. This mixture between green and blue is often used to represent clay or oxidized minerals. There are a select few ground and steel types that Game Freak chose to make turquoise or teal instead of brown, orange, or gray for that exact reason. Phampi evolves into a gray guy, but in its diminutive form, it is an aqua-colored elephant. Marshtomp is bluer for its water typing of course, but considering the fact that it's less blue than Mudkip, now that it has gained the ground type, it's something to consider. Golett is made of clay like a traditional Hebrew golem, and the Cobalt Cobalion is a brave blue as well. Gible spends its time in the ground. Its blueness can correlate with its shark inspiration, but it's less blue than its evolved form, giving us a taste of the minerals it eats. Bronzong and Copperajah are the best examples of oxidized steel types. Their greenish hue tells us a story just by looking at them. But you may be saying, Ron, this weird, vague greenish blue is hard to define. I mean, most of these Pokemon are basically blue. Yep, and that's why there's another category that I think is even more telling. Cyan and Magenta. This combination of bluish and reddish is actually a very interesting color combination because it's often and consistently used for Pokemon that are artificial or unnatural in some way. These conflicting colors perhaps are hard to come by in nature. Cyan and Magenta lights are often associated with dystopian futures like cyberpunk, so combining them may make a Pokemon that looks like a science experiment gone wrong. Porygon is a perfect example, the most artificial Pokemon, and its line is blue and magenta. Now obviously every other Pokemon on the list is technically natural, but the colors indicate an inanimate origin. Viruses are not living creatures, so Deoxys, which is now living, has this artificial looking color scheme. Metagross, with its blue and red color scheme, is similar. Bronzong, Probopass, and Golurk are objects that have come to life and share this mixture of cool and warm colors. Dragapult is a great example, a dead creature that is melted with a fighter jet. I like how this contrast is used to make Mr. Mime seem like an unnatural and uncanny doll. Garbodor and Klinklang aren't primarily cyan and magenta, but they have these colors as accents to indicate this artificial origin. Rotom comes close, considering it's technically closer to orange, but again, this category is primarily for Pokemon with heavy reddish colors and heavy bluish colors, melded together to indicate, artificiality, and that is literally what Rotom is all about. You'd think Lumineon is as natural as it gets, but light is this line's whole shtick, so two conflicting colors like pink and blue make it seem like it has an artificial light, despite it being bioluminescent. In fact, Orbeetle and LGM, both Pokemon with ties to UFOs, employ blues and reds. And if you put those colors together, what do you get? Violet. I'm talking about a deep and profound purple. It's more about feeling than exact shades, since we'll be kind of vague with it, but Pokemon often uses this color to indicate that a pocket monster is aloof, yet powerful. I mean, Tapu Fini is the most aloof and withdrawn of her quartet, yet obviously very powerful. Miraidon is considered cooler and calmer compared to more rambunctious Koraidons. Check out Toxtricity, a perfect example of a passive purple. The prim and properly purple Spectrier is so aloof, they don't open their eyes. Glimmora only has eyes, which makes it seem so distant compared to the average Pokemon. Ceruledge is a proud yet proper purple. Eternatus is as violet as one gets, and it's impossible to read its emotion. The stoic Corviknight is violently purple, so I think it helps prove my point. Nothing more aloof than a Liepard, and Drapion is hard to cuddle with. Now, what color does Morpeko become when it no longer wants to put up with your Violet. The ever-vigilant Violet Galarian Slowking sports a royal color like purple, but now that the Shelder is in control, you can say communicating with the Slowking is kind of impossible. Genesec's emotions are also impossible to read, so purple it is. Naganadel is there for the exact same reason, while Pecharunt is the poster boy for withdrawn. It's a shy peach, kind of aloof, and Menshao serves as our transition to the next category. It's more lavender than purple, but considering its red pre-evolved form is more energetic, it seems like turning it purple highlights the notion that Game Freak uses the color to indicate a more poised and passive personality. But it also could be categorized into our next group, Pale Purple. This shade very reliably indicates that a Pokemon lives away from the light. Look at Ditto, a cave and mansion-dwelling shapeshifter. In its official key art, it's a pale purple. Like its theoretical cousin, lab experiment Mewtwo, a Pokemon that also hides in Cerulean Cave. Whismur likes to stay in the quiet rust turf tunnel, and of course, fossil Pokemon like Lileep and Aerodactyl haven't seen light in millions of years. I mean, Lileep literally lives in the ocean depths, never feeling the warmth of the sun's rays, like its relative Mareanie. Gliscor and Noibat favor the night. Goomy can be found in dark, swampy roots, and Palkia lives in space. A pretty dark place, I'd say. Golisopod's line will appear in another category later, but its underside very much indicates that this wimp hides on the seafloor. Cascoon will become a nocturnal moth, but in the meantime, it's wrapped in light-repelling silk. Another sun-protecting armored bug is Forretress, but perhaps its color can also be interpreted as, well, pink. In Pokemon, this color, when not representing a certain type like Fairy, also indicates that a Pokemon is bulky in some way, whether it be through HP, defense, or special defense. Chansey is the poster child of high HP, and whenever I see a pink Pokemon, I think of it being unusually bulky like Chansey. Alomomola, Audino, Gastrodon, and Lickitung have above-average HPs as well, definitely their most famous trait. Slowbro, Miltank, Slurpuff, and Corsola are all physically defensive, but Corsola can be seen as specially defensive like Clefable, Aromatisse, and Shiinotic. Technically, special defense isn't Clefable and Aromatisse's highest stat though. Mew is as balanced as they come, so technically yes, Mew's HP, special defense, and defense are its highest stats. But what about Dark Pink, also known as Red? This one's kinda easier to explain. Yeah, normally it means fire, but of course that extends to any Pokemon with passion, or more specifically, what I'm about to show you, Pokemon who are aggressive and have direct energy. The following Pokemon do not hide, they will shoot on sight. Buzzwole is a perfect example. No need to explain. Tapu Bulu is a bull that sees red and is red. It's the most aggressive of the guardian deities. Koraidon is much more physical than its violet counterpart. Darmanitan will go ape on your hiney. Crocodile will mess you up too, as well as its Unovan homie, Excadrill. Of course, the most feral of the Lichen rocks is red. Volcanion isn't the friendliest of the legendaries. Iron Treads will run you over, Mienfoo is a bit feistier than its evolution, Octillery will shoot you in the face, Scizor will clamp you, and I know Armarouge is more of a special attacker, but it very much is a loyal and distinguished warrior who would never back down from a fight. But perhaps its armor allows it to fit perfectly into the next category as well. Gold. It's famous for confusingly being the type associated with mystical powers. Many psychic Pokemon have this motif, but of course it's not limited to them. There are golden Pokemon that should be psychic, like Psyduck and Staryu, but actual psychics like Alakazam, Armarouge, Hypno, Alolan Raichu, Girafarig, Jirachi, Chingling, Solrock, Cosmoem, Espathra, Ultra Necrozma, and even Mega Medicham and Jinx are primarily gold or have gold accents to showcase their mystical nature. Shedinja is fully golden like the shedded husk of a cicada, but the color also makes us understand this thing has mysterious powers. Goldango is, well, the most golden Pokemon, so I'm not going to waste my time addressing the ghostly powers it possesses. Dragonite is a mystical dragon, and if Ninetales was dual-typed, it would most definitely be psychic or even ghost. It's as mystical as they come without straight up having ESP. But perhaps Ninetales could be seen as a contender for the next and biggest category so far. White. White, when talking about visible light, which is, how we see color, is a combination of every color in the spectrum. It's associated with purity, and oftentimes, Pokemon that are mostly white are untainted in some way. Togetic is an angelic Pokemon and part of a line that represents peace. Gardevoir has no colors on it that are associated with its type, but instead is white to showcase its nature as a guardian. It is completely innocent and nurturing. Even Absol, a dark type that showcases the duality of yin and yang, is mostly white to indicate that it is well-intentioned. Dugong is a pristine Pokemon, although obviously, as an ice type, this color scheme makes sense. Rapidash is an untainted ivory considering white light goes with fire. Like, when has a Rapidash ever done something evil? Except for that alpha in Legends Arceus. Sirfetch'd is a valiant white knight. I mean, Purifying Salt is Garganacl's signature ability. Sylveon feels the most natural of the evolutions. Primarina is a pristine pearl that sings the purest melodies around. Alchemy is as innocent as can be. Lugia prefers to stay in the bottom of the ocean as its guardian so that its powers don't harm those on the surface. Pretty admirable, I'd say. Pheromosa is a newly molted cockroach, which are white, but considering it refuses to touch anything, you can easily consider it pure and untouched. Goldeen is considered more pristine than its evolved form, while the Milotic line kinda is the opposite, so it looks near white compared to Feebas. Masquerain, despite its intimidating wings, is a pure little baby, but also clean because it's like always around water. Reshiram represents pure truth. Mega Audino is as sterile as can be, as all doctors should. Ultra Necrozma and Silvally are far more white than their weakened forms. Obviously, these three have white to represent their cloud-based origins, but their personalities are also quite well-meaning and honest. Latios, as an Eon, represents pure femininity, and while a parasite, Nihilego can be mistaken to look like an innocent girl. Shaman, the gratitude Pokemon, is a sign of hope after hardship. And of course, the literal Pokemon that shaped the universe is categorically white. And all the Pokemon on screen here are as innocent and pure as can be, or at least seemingly pure, before scattering dangerous spores. But while white is a combo of all light in the spectrum, if you were to refract white light and reveal all the light within it, you get Rainbow. Rainbow means danger. The following Pokemon very much follow the real-world law that dictates to stay away from these rainbow creatures. They are far more violent and deadly than the average Pokemon. And by rainbow, I just mean, like explicit mixtures of 3 or more primary and or secondary colors. A classic would be red, blue, and yellow, like Druddigon, Dragapult, Toxicroak, Mega Garchomp, or Roaring Moon. A bit of green like Sigilyph, Slitherwing, and Archeops who will attack you as you enter their domain, and those with a little pink on them that range from full-on malicious and hypnotic like Malamar and Bruxish, or insanely off-putting like Alolan Muck. Our purple and green nocturnal nemesis, Dustox and Noivern, spiders, and then the most rainbow Pokemon of all, Terrastal Terrapagos. Ho-Oh ain't here because honestly, dude is as colorful as the average flying type or fire type, but of course he's dangerous too. Keep in mind, the contrast between these wild colors is what actually wards off others, so of course the following color scheme indicates a similar thing. Black and white. Because the color combination of black and white looks super uncanny in the wild, black and white Pokemon look extra hostile. If rainbow means stay away, black and white means you're gonna die regardless. These are Pokemon you don't want to see in the wild. Mega Houndoom, Aggron, Pangoro, Obstagoon, Claydol, Glalie, Grafaiai, Duskull, Zebstrika, Shelgon, Throh, Sigilyph, Passimian, even a Dubwool will ram you for fun. A Meowstic is as hostile as can be, and Furfrou are genuinely one of the most underratedly aggressive Pokemon in the game. I mean, Absol and Darkrai don't intend to hurt, but goddamn will bad things happen when you're around them. While Gothitelle won't cause your death, it certainly will see it. I don't know how you'd ever encounter a Regigigas, Arceus, Tornadus, Silvally, Giratina, Xurkitree, Urshifu, Necrozma, or Unknown randomly, but you'd probably lose your mind seeing them. Just the sight of them will mess you up. But there is a color scheme that kinda indicates the opposite. Sickly Green. These are Pokemon whose green color actually indicates that they are either the weakest of the bunch, less strong than they seem, pathetic in some way, or will just make you sick. Dreepy, Spinarak, Axew, Caterpie, Anorith, Silicobra, Electrike, Alolan Grimer, and Gulpin are all green in their current form, while their evolved form outgrow their green color. This pattern shows that Game Freak employs this color scheme to show how less powerful these Pokemon are. Charjabug is the most incapacitated in its family, and Wimpod's pale green tells the audience that this is a wimp. The green on Flapple and Grimmsnarl let us know that deep down they are cowering and need the protection of an apple or hare to play with the big boys. Their green color is their true feeble self. While the following Pokemon aren't necessarily feeble or cowards, the green on Gastrodon, Solosis, Garbodor, and Galarian Weezing is obviously used to indicate to us that these Pokemon contain mucus, film, refuse, and fumes. Green surely is versatile, isn't it? Kinda like yellow. I mean, I've shown you the significance of gold, but there are so many Pokemon who employ yellow as a warning sign. These are Pokemon who won't necessarily attack you if you don't mess with them, but are warning you with their color to stay away. Okay, Beedrill may attack you, but hey, it warned you. Watchog has an entire construction security vest, and the frilled lizard Heliolisk is doing what its real-world counterpart does. Mawile lures you in, but its colors are an indication to not fall for the trap. Vespiquen and Beedrill are warning you to stay away from their hive. Toadschool wants you to know to not eat it. Psyduck could explode at any minute, and Victreebel waits for prey to digest, but intelligent creatures know not to come close. Chingling looks cute, but it can break your eardrums. Haxorus is usually kind-hearted, but don't mess with it. Same with Makuhita. Joltik is an electric parasite you don't want on your body, and while Pikachu and Cutiefly are precious, they are not afraid to attack. Bastiodon is all about defense, so don't even try to attack, and Dottler wants to be left alone, just like Dunsparce. In fact, Dunsparce is part of our final category, specific colors. There are a bunch of Pokemon who have specific color schemes that will help determine their lore and origin at first glance. These are Pokemon who could teach you a lot just by looking at them. Like I said, Dunsparce has this yellow color scheme with dark stripes because it's based on the yokai Tsuchinoko, also known as the Bachihebi, or Bee Snake. Lucario and Cofagrigus are both Egyptian-inspired Pokemon, and their color scheme is a direct indication of that. Blue and gold were highly symbolic in ancient Egypt, just like the Scarab, which Carablast and Rapska are based on. Turquoise was also a big deal for them, so Rapska is appropriately colored. Nosepas's red nose points north, like a compass. The Santa-inspired Delibird is red and white for that exact reason. Braviary and Palafin are red, white, and blue for similar reasons. One is a Native American eagle, and the other is a heroic dolphin. The birthplace of the modern superhero is the United States after all, Superman being the most recognized archetype. All three Unova starters are based on high-ranking officials in their respective countries of origin, and their golden accents kind of accentuate that. Superior represents the French aristocracy, Ambor is a Chinese general, and of course Samurott is a samurai. I mean, even Infernape as the Monkey King and Empoleon with its Napoleon and Poseidon origins have these golden accents for similar reasons. Alolan Muck is rainbow because it's iridescent like an oil slick. Drowsy's brown bottom resembles the split colors of a tapir, but this accent becomes white upon evolution as the novice becomes a master. Mega Mewtwo X and Y have eye colors that match their respective game version, and notice how both of these psychic flying types have extremely similar patterns and colors. Makes sense since both are based on art indigenous to the Americas, a totem pole and the Nazca lines. I think that's super cool, and if you agree, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more essay videos like this about Pokemon designs and art. Of course, if you want to see my own Pokemon designs, check out all my Fakemon videos and consider becoming a patron on Patreon or YouTube member to get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early and more. Check the description for the music I used and my social media where I post sneak peeks of my upcoming videos and art. I'll see you guys very soon.